Hello, my name is Nancy Faunce, President and CEO of Fast Track Kids International, and we would like to welcome you to our first of 2 Facebook Live presentations. At Fast Track Kids, we specialize in early childhood programs designed for children between the ages of 6 months up to 9 years. We're proud that our programs have been adopted by educators and parents around the world, from Asia to Africa to Europe to the Middle East to Latin and North America. We're proud to have served as partners to families in preparing children for their future. As I've had the privilege to speak with parents around the world, I've learned 2 universal truths about parents and their kids. Number 1 is that we as parents are the first and most important life coach for our children. And number 2, as parents, we want our children to be happy. Now, happiness takes different forms based upon the age of our children. When they are infants, we want our children to be healthy and well-fed and warm, the basics of comforts. And when they become toddlers and preschoolers, we still want the basics, but we also want our kids to have friends and to have fun and to start to develop in a positive way. For this is the time that children are developing cognitively, socially, and emotionally. Again, as our children get older and start school, we want them to succeed academically, to find areas of interest, and to prepare themselves to have the best opportunities available. And we also know that these opportunities are going to change dramatically from what they were yesterday to what they are today to what they will be in the future. It once was said that we can't prepare the future for our kids, but we can try to prepare our children for their future. One of our challenges as parents is that we don't always know what that future will look like. We are certainly living in a time of rapid and disruptive change, a time when the world's largest taxi company doesn't even own a single vehicle, a time when the world's largest retailer doesn't own any inventory. We do know that the future will be different and exciting, and that the challenges and opportunities will be different than the ones that we have today. So, how do we as partners prepare children for their future? The short answer is 1 step at a time and 1 child at a time. So let's take a quick peek into the future that is ahead of us, especially for our children. We are living in a time being called the age of connectivity, and that's only going to increase as time goes by. The whole world will be connected through what we are calling the Internet of Everything. Refrigerators will have cameras inside where we can see that we're out of eggs and milk from our smartphones and then send a list to our shopping app. Instead of postcards and magnets reminding us our next doctor's appointment, we can see our schedule on the display on the door. Everything that can be will be connected. Robots will be integrated into our everyday lives. We're already seeing them being used to automatically vacuum our houses. They're being designed as companions to the elderly, reminding them when to take their medicines and sending alerts if they have fallen. Everything that can be will be connected. Not only will these technological developments change the way we live and work, they will also change the way our children need to be educated. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, spoke recently at the World Economic Forum and stressed the importance of education. He said that it's not just enough to learn and to learn how to read or write or do math, but to be successful in the future, our children need to be taught to be more collaborative and more creative. That in a future beset with smart machines and devices, we need to instill in our children confidence and caring for others. The research of the World Economic Forum supports this view. Founded in 1971, the WEF is an independent organization committed to improving the state of the world. They study technology trends and the impact on our society. the way we will live, and the way we will work. They have concluded that what is certain is that the future will call for a different set of skills than what we have needed in the past. Over the last 20 years, we've seen this is true. We have witnessed that some jobs have disappeared, others have emerged, and now those new jobs are commonplace. As an example, doctors now operate with lasers, not scalpels. It is clear that this trend will continue. And as technology changes, the skills that we require to navigate our world will also change. Now, every 5 years, the World Economic Forum looks at the skills that will be required in the next 5 years. So let's just take a look at how the skills required for 2015 have changed from those being predicted for 2020. While complex problem solving is still at the top, creativity has moved from number 10 up to number 3, being increasingly more important. We will need to reimagine the use of new tools to solve the world's challenges in healthcare, food supplies, transportation, and who knows what else. And while we certainly don't know what the world will look like in 2030 and 2040 and beyond, we know we'll need different skills to handle that world. So, how do we at Fast Track Kids begin to prepare children for this kind of future? We believe that the most important skill for this century, or any other century, is the skill of learning. Learning is the foundation that everything else is built on. And we call this foundation the Fast Track Advantages. So, what do we mean by the foundation of learning? To answer that, let's consider how we learn to play the piano. When you teach someone to play a piano, a teacher doesn't start by teaching the student to play a concerto. Instead, they begin by showing the student the basics, the proper finger placement, giving them familiarity with the notes, how to play the scales, and so on. In other words, the basic building blocks of being a good pianist. Learning is the same. In order to be a strong and confident learner, a student needs to start with the basic building blocks. Fast Track Kids knows that these are confidence, collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity, what we call the 5 Fast Track Advantages. Now, let's take a look at each of these fundamental skills and see why they are key to developing the skills that children will need for their future. Not only are the 5 building blocks important independently, but when they are integrated, they form the foundation for innovation and creative problem solving. Let's take a look at the example of Thomas Edison. We all know Thomas Edison was a businessman and an inventor. He created the phonograph, the motion picture camera, and of course, the light bulb. It is said that it took Edison over 10,000 attempts to make the light bulb. And if you think of the process that he used, it started with an idea, a concept, to generate light from a glass bulb. Obviously, he had to do a lot of problem solving and come up with creative ways to solve his problems. He had to work with his team, collaborating and using effective communication to share his ideas. And most importantly, he had to have the confidence and the faith that he could succeed in making a light bulb. If he had quit, we would all be sitting in the dark. He was asked by a reporter if he felt like a failure because it took him almost 10,000 tries before he was successful. Thomas Edison replied, "I haven't failed. I just found 10,000 ways that won't work." The entire process of creativity and innovation is one of imagining, failing, problem solving, reimagining, and succeeding. Fast Track Kids believes and instills this approach in our children. It is the work of all great thinkers and learners. So let's talk about one of our advantages, communication. Why is communication so important? Because no matter how strong your math, science, or music skills are, you still need to know how to learn, how to think and write, how to communicate. Because no matter how smart you are, if you can't share your ideas, you're not going to be successful. This ability is as important in school as it is at home and on the playground. To be able to communicate, to express your ideas, which does include the ability to listen or perceive the ideas of others, that skill is critical to the learning process. How does Fast Track Kids develop the skill of effective communication? Well, first, we create a positive and supportive environment for children to be able to express their ideas through public speaking. We teach children to speak in complete sentences, improve their presentation skills, and most importantly, give them the confidence to speak in front of their peers, adults, and a camera. Also, by showing them how to think before they speak, we improve their articulation and their vocabulary to make them more comfortable while they're speaking. This confident communication gives Fast Track Kids an advantage over others, even some adults who are often terrified of speaking in front of their peers. Now, we know that confidence is also an essential ingredient for entrepreneurship, succeeding in school, and the workplace. A student's self-esteem is directly related to their school performance. By ensuring that a student's self-esteem is healthy, the environment for learning becomes one where education and learning thrives. Self-esteem activities for students are an excellent way to help boost a child's confidence and increase their learning. For example, confident learners are more apt to raise their hand and ask questions and interact with teachers and students. So how does Fast Track Kids develop confidence? Fast Track Kids Classroom is an incubator for growth that allows children to spread their wings and discover the joy of learning themselves. It is this freedom in our child-centered classrooms that promotes the confidence needed to sustain the process. Our children learn that it's okay to fail, and failure is not final, and they're given the encouragement to try again, just like Thomas Edison. It is the confidence that propels children to exceed expectations in later learning and in life. A child in a Fast Track Kids classroom is always encouraged to find the correct answer without relying on an adult. This helps them to become confident self-learners, engaged in their own learning process. Our next foundation block is collaboration. Now, today we live in a global society. Through the use of media tools such as Skype and FaceTime and Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram and Snapchat and countless of others, we are in constant contact with people who are miles away. Students now participate in projects with other students a half a world away. The skill of collaboration is greatly needed in a world that has become so small. So why is collaboration important for young children? Well, for one, it is key to the development of social and emotional skills, and it encourages children to work well with others. More critically, teaching and learning has now become project-based. Schools and workplaces center around teamwork. Daniel Goldman, the father of social and emotional intelligence, stresses that the time to develop emotional and social intelligence is between the ages of 0 and 8. These are the ages of the children in Fast Track Kids. Fast Track Kids fosters this by encouraging children to work on teams. Our teachers are coached to let the children work together to solve problems with creative solutions. I was once in a Fast Track Kids classroom and I saw 4 little boys trying to come up with a name for their team. Now, 2 of them were silent, while the other 2 debated between being the Flying Tigers and the Supersonic Jets. Instead of making the decision for them, the teacher asked the children how they thought they might resolve the debate. A third child, who had been listening and had not yet spoken, suggested that they put the names together and arrived at the name, the Flying Tiger Jets. It was a lesson that helped these 4 boys develop the power of collaboration, creative thinking, and communication. Critical thinking is another important building block, number 1 on the top skills required in 2020. We never really think about how we learn to make decisions, and yet it's a skill that can be learned and built upon. Critical thinking is defined as the objective analysis and evaluation of an issue in order to form a judgment. Teaching children how to analyze and evaluate information is critical to helping them form their own judgments. This creates independent thought, which makes a child less likely to follow the crowd. A child who can think for themselves won't be as susceptible to bullying and more likely to overcome social challenges that many children are facing today. They will be less likely to accept something at face value and speak up when they see something that may not be quite right. So, how does Fast Track Kids help develop the skill of critical thinking? In our child-centered classrooms, children are continually asked to analyze the situation, use peer discussion, develop consensus, try scientific experimentation, and other varied problem-solving methods to arrive at their solution. We believe that decision-making is a skill that can be learned just like other important skills. The Fast Track Kids way states that the process of problem-solving, the process, is more important than the solution. And last but certainly not least, we get to creativity. One of the greatest scientific minds of all time, Albert Einstein, once said that creativity is really intelligence having fun. And Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, said this about fun and creativity. He said, many painters learn by having fun. Many works of art and literature are the products of having fun. So, our entrepreneurs need to learn how to have fun too. How does Fast Track Kids develop a child's creativity? Well, we love the child why. We love the question why. We encourage children to ask the question why. We want them to think outside the box. As adults, we can be, at times, very narrow-minded, and it's only when we're speaking with a child we realize how magnificently their little minds are working. At Fast Track Kids, we encourage creative solutions when they're problem solving. And as we mentioned at the beginning, it's been Fast Track Kids' mission for over 20 years to help parents prepare children for their future. Since 1998, we've had the privilege of witnessing demonstrable and spectacular results from the start. It's important to note that we have a proven system that works. So I'd like to close with something that the writer C.S. Lewis once said. He said that children are not a distraction from important work. They are the most important work. We certainly believe that at Fast Track Kids. We believe that the future holds many opportunities that have not yet even been imagined, and we are proud of our commitment to prepare children to flourish no matter what the challenges look like. As your child's #1 life coach and teacher, our centers and schools around the world would love to talk to you about how we might be able to work with you as partners to build a strong foundation and instill a love of learning in your child that will last a lifetime. So we thank you for your time today. Please contact the Fast Track Kids location near you or visit fasttrackkids.com to find out how your child can get the Fast Track Kids advances.